Hey guys, what's up? It's time for our next game in this little series. We're playing 15 plus 10 games, working our way up the rating ladder, and we are now rated 726. We're going to do a 15-10, we're going to see what we get, and I'm going to have my first sip of coffee of the day. Alright, opponent is now rated 840, so things are getting serious. So, what are we going to do? Well, I said I wasn't going to play my normal opening, so I think I'm going to go London style. This seems to be most common among students. We'll go Jobava system. Keeping our options open. Okay. So this is London system, and this is very much part of the move. It says accelerated London system on the side. Okay. Now, is that already a mistake? Point is, how on earth does black defend this pawn? Rook can't do it. The only move that could have done it would be this knight to a6. So if I come here, right, king moves, right, because if I go there, it's attacked twice. This is the venom of this opening, right? It's attacked twice. It's defended only by the queen. This bishop can't come to its aid. This knight could, but both squares are blocked. Has he already buggered it? This is worth 33 points if I win it. We're going to be shooting up towards 1,000 at this rate. This is actually now defended twice. And if I go there, it's a choice of either move the king or give up the queen. Man, but this is so natural. This is the point. We look at this from black's perspective, right? Opponent plays a pawn in the center, mirror. Opponent brings out a knight. Get rid of the arrow, right? Opposite knight. Makes perfect sense. Opponent brings out a bishop. Just develop. And then it's like, oh. And I suspect that is going to be super effective, sub 1000, really. I mean, it might even be worth checking on Lichess. Okay, this is, yes, I believe the only resource that he has. Now, I haven't studied the Jobava London, so I don't know what the idea is here. If I take queen takes, I take pawn, doesn't really make sense. I take pawn, I threaten the knight. The knight has to move. I move the pawn anyway, threaten this pawn. I come here, knight goes there, threatening my bishop. If I come here, this knight can take. So, I don't know the move here. But that is very, very good. My opponent's done well to find the only defense. So I'm forced to work on. I feel like it's d takes e5. So I'm just going to play it. Well, that is peculiar. So he thought for 6 seconds over that move. Okay. Now, I mean, I thought for some reason that I still had eyes on this, but then I haven't woken up yet, so. Alright, now, my queen looks at this, it is defended. If I push my pawn, then this is on. I think that's the point. Not worried about his knight coming here, I'm not worried about his knight coming here. All of that stuff we can deal with. These squares are all fine, no worries, no worries. So we're pushing on. If he takes here, I can take with the knight, fork, king and rook. Well, that's a check. c3 comes to the tempo on the bishop. Also notice that my knight on b5 defends here. So even if if that knight wasn't there, he could take with the knight, takes, bishop takes, forks king and rook. But that fork is not on right now. In fact, I can even almost like pre-move the recap. But in fact, I don't think I'll pre-move switched on. Okay, oh, interesting. He's come all the way back and defending this pawn now. My first thought is pawn takes, f7 check. Then the king has to move. Still defended by the queen. But you can notice we're already now in a situation where black is making moves he really wouldn't have chosen for himself. Okay. So black has now lost castling rights. He's a pawn down. I have 2 pieces out on the board. He actually has 3, but as well as his kingship, who really would rather not be there. Much prefer to be at home with his dog and pipe. That's actually defended. That's defended. King's obviously a massive weakness. Now we need to think what's going on. This bishop actually needs to defend that because otherwise it's the queen only, and the queen can't defend against 2 minor pieces. So, I mean, if I was to push b4, the bishop just goes back to b6 and it still defends the pawn. Then I push a4. Is it worth it? That's the question. I mean, it's quite a good pawn. Or do we go straight for the king? Like this. But the thing is, that square's controlled by a knight, and so is this one as well. But then I can control that one too. I really feel like I need to get my pieces out and start a campaign against that. My feeling is now, guys, I'll be honest with you, this pawn is not now the focus of our attention. I think the focus of our attention is his junk's all over this side of the board, right? Kingy's over here, and vulnerable. So the question is how to get my stuff out in the board. I mean, knight develops is fairly straightforward. Do I fianchetto this bishop, or do I bring him out this away? My hunch is this away will be the most fruitful. Looking down here. If I fianchetto Figaro, he's looking in the wrong direction. So I'm thinking this, thinking probably bishop here, knight here. I think I can play the knight out anyway. I don't see a problem with that. Then it's e3, probably bishop d3, castles. Then just try and break open, just do something, push both these pawns up the board and cause as much mayhem as possible. I just want to open up lines towards that vulnerable king before he scurries away into this corner. So what can we do? This doesn't work because knight takes, bishop takes, blah blah blah. 1, 2. By the time I've done that, he's done 1, 2 even, and got into the corner. I mean, I'm still better. There's no question about that. Do I do something like this, actually? And make sure I centralise one. This knight's doing nothing. Okay, so I'm going to contest this knight a little bit. I still don't have this. He's, you know, he's scrapping. There's no question about it. He's not going down. Well, he is. He's going down, but he's not going down without a fight. But for 10 moves into a game, this is exciting. So, he has scrapped already really well, but he's been forced to scrap. This probably isn't what he was hoping for when he got a player 100 points lower rated. So what's the plan? The plan is probably e3, probably bishop d3, castle the king. Yeah, oh, you see, he's trying to scurry away. We get it. Now if I capture here, he takes the pawn. But I've given up a very, very respectable looking knight for a knight that's not really involved in the key thing. What's the key thing? The defense of the king. I can harass the bishop. I can come here, but then again with the queen, but then again the knight actually defends. I can push b4, pushes the bishop back. What's the point in that? Don't know. So we carry on with the plan. Proceed with the plan. Even a bad plan is better than no plan at all. My knights are actually paired here. That's often a good thing. It means that we know that they got each other's backs. They're also on opposite colours, so they actually control different colours. The downside of it is that one of the squares that my knights could control, each knight could control, is actually occupied by one of my own pieces. Which means I'm controlling less of the board in a way, but at the same time I'm defending my own stuff. So it's Sphinx and roundabouts. Sphinx und roundabouts. I kind of think this pawn, defended only by the queen, may be a bit of a kind of a key in the whole thing. I don't know. Oh, he does actually have this option. But again, I don't actually have to take. Or do I really? I probably do actually. Did I screw up there? Yeah, I screwed up by moving this knight. Remember what I said, this knight was actually had a key role in preventing this bishop fork idea. That was clumsy of me. So I may have to push b4. Huh. Okay, now, instructive moment. I've just identified that this is a potential vulnerability. This pawn is now attacked twice with two minor pieces, one knight, one bishop, defended currently only by a pawn. Right. Now, so, if I was to recapture with this knight, he's got knight takes. If I take the pawn, bang, I go down in exchange. However, he's given up a knight for a pawn. So he gives up a knight, gets a pawn back. I have to block. He gets a rook, I get a bishop. It's kind of equal. But better than that is queen takes here. Queen takes here, this pawn is now defended twice, so after knight takes, pawn takes, bishop takes is no longer on. What's more, look at my queen, she's looking down at g7. He had his option that he had to strike now. And this is what we mean by tempo. Tempo doesn't just mean getting a free turn or losing a turn by being forced to do something useless. Tempo means, do I have time to achieve something before something horrible happens to me, or the other way around? Do I have time to do something horrible to my opponent before whatever? Okay, so this is kind of a one move threat. Obviously I can't go here because of the rook, so this diagonal is out. That's all outski. This is out. This is out. I can come here or here or here. There's no way of blocking, and I don't think I've got any good checks. I'm still up a pawn. My hunch is b4. b4 looks good. I don't really want to block off this bishop's passage out into the board with queen d3. But, you know, and whatever I do, my knight can now come to the centre as well, which is quite nice. This is just a nothing square, so it's d3 or it's b4. I'll play queen b3. Yep. And then you see, before I drop the piece, I'm just scanning to see, is there anything ghastly that could happen? I don't know. Rook d1 makes a lot of sense. So I previously identified this pawn as being a weakness. I like this idea as well, centralizing the knight. That is actually, though, playable. c5 with a fork on queen and knight. This bishop is currently quite impotent, though, other than harassing my queen. I could put my knight here as well, but that means it's defended by a piece, which is less than ideal. Much rather have an outpost that's defended by a pawn. It's not technically, it's not an outpost, but you know what I mean. Okay, I think it's Operation Gang Up on the d5 pawn. Don't you? I don't believe this move. I don't like it very much. If he's planning this, I don't know. But Rook d1 makes a bunch of sense. Bishop d3 also makes a bunch of sense, but you kind of have to choose between the two, because one kind of blunts the other. Or this, actually, Bishop b5. Attack his rook. Then he just like moves the rook forward. Then he kicks my bishop. My bishop can then come around this way. I kind of like that. I'm going to play that. Not worried about this. It's fine. It's covered. I can now castle my king. Oh, he attacks the queen. Okay, well, I'm going to move back here, and now this pawn is in a pin. The pawn is in a pin. I kind of fancied that spot for my bishop, but hey-ho. Can you get a feeling like Black's position is now, with these kind of one-move threats, it's just starting to crumble somehow? Okay, 7 minutes we have. This pawn on d5 is pinned. That is a material thing. Okay. Centralizing the knight makes a whole bunch of sense. I can't go there because of the bishop. I could castle. I mean, technically castle either way. This would be a very bad idea though, because my rook ends up here, and then look, bang, knight attacks both rooks. Always got to be careful about that. So, I mean, I'm feeling pretty comfortable. I'm only a pawn up right now. Knight can't come into this square. That's quite important, because the queen is in a forkable situation. But yeah, I think castles, and I think get this knight into the center, f3, shoo away the horsey. So you saw those kind of attacks that we did at the beginning. This classic Jobava London assault against c7. It didn't win the game, but what it did was put Black on the defensive straight out of the gate. And what's this? This is an odd move. This is a one move itis, right? I can just drop my queen to here, which I'm going to do, right? And what's he done? He's made his knight worse. I was worried about that knight. I was starting to cook up a plan to get that knight out of the center, which is where he is now, where he was. And he's just moved his knight away from the center completely voluntarily, without prompt. And he's blocked his bishop off. Why? So that he could move my queen from this square to this square. Okay. This is now, again, an attack on the knight. My knight can come here and boomerang attack the bishop. That is not bad. My knight can come to this central square, which is nice. Question is, which is best? I mean, that's kind of interesting. My main plan should be to drop my queen into this square and win. That's what I'd like to do. But for my knight to support it, it would need to be on either of these squares, and it can't right now. So my hunch is, put the knight in the middle. Right, this is just completely principle kind of gut feel. Put knight in the middle where it's defended by pawns. And live to fight another day. Opponent's pawn structure is rotten. My pawn structure is lush. Look at this, right? Now, a rotten pawn structure here wouldn't be too bad if he had massive piece activity and huge attacking ideas. He doesn't. He's just boxed in his own bishop with his stupid horse. This bishop's out trying to raid the opponent's camp on his own, and he's not going to get anywhere with it. My pieces, meanwhile, are starting to line up against his position. And explain how this doesn't just walk into a pawn fork. I mean, yes, I approve of the idea of putting your knight back in the centre of the board. I do not approve of this way of doing it. I don't understand. How does this not lose material? I'm starting to think now as well about shuffling these around. It's kind of a 3 moves, but it does prepare a significant attack, flushing the king out of the corner. 49 seconds he thought about that. Should always think, and especially anytime you put pieces 2 squares apart horizontally, is there a bloody pawn that can just step in the middle and like... Ouch. Oh no, my bits. I also have this, by the way. If this bishop ever vacates that square, there's a... You see? It's just the same. It's just spotting patterns. That's all it is. And the patterns are a shortcut. You can figure all of this stuff out by looking and reading the board. But the patterns help you to see things quicker. He might now just like lash out and trade off for no reason at all. That's a very common issue. But in fact, when you're about to go down material, the last thing that you want to do from a principled perspective is voluntarily trade off more material. So yeah, he's in a bit of a pickle now. Okay, that is a counterattack, which we kind of expected. It's also kind of weakening. I mean, now what's going to defend this pawn now? Nothing. That was the only pawn that could have done it. This pawn really wanted to be there, shooing this bishop away, creating a bit of a pawny chainy. So I think the knight just drops back here, eh? If I take the bishop, he's just going to take the knight, and there's no... I mean, my knight really wants to go there, but he can't right now. So just drop the knight back. Let's drop the knight back. Okay, reassess. I've got an over the board game tonight, by the way, for the B team as well. So last time I played there, I lost to Patrick. A very interesting game. Don't know who I'm going to get tonight. I think it might have been a B team game as well, actually. Okay, so a desperado. What that means is he knows he's going to lose material. He's thinking, what's the best that I can do out of this? So he's captured a pawn on his way out. Now I have two options. I can recapture with two obvious options. Recapture with the rook, recapture with the pawn. My hunch is pawn, so it is rook, because I don't really want to open up my king. Now I could capture with pawn and play king h1. Recapturing with the pawn actually also hits the knight. Recapturing the rook arguably allows me to double up my rooks on the now open f-file, which is also no bad thing. I feel safer with the rook thing. I know that putting my rook here, it gives the potential for the knight to swing around and fork, and attack the rook. But I'm not worried about either of these two squares because I have those covered by queen and bishop. So I'm going to do rook. I feel like, getting my A rook into the game, keep these two pawns close up to my king. It just feels right. It feels nice, principled. I've got knight g3 attacking this guy. This horse is his only decent piece. Like rook af1, I've then got ideas of even that. Are you seriously in the business of trading off material now that you're a full piece down? Tell me it isn't so. Takey. Everybody dies. And white just gets closer. So I've always described this in the past as like, there's a schoolyard fight and there's like 6 kids against 5 kids, and then, the bell goes or whatever, and 3 kids from each team are called in. Then it's not 6 versus 5, it's 2 versus 3, which is a much more significant difference. Someone else described it more recently as like a running race. Okay, and there's, say, a mile to go, let's say 100 meters to go, and one of the runners is 5 meters in front of the other, okay, which with 100 meters still to run, it's just the final straight, that 5 meter gap is significant, but it's not insurmountable. But then you suddenly move forward another 50 meters, and it's now one runner is 45 meters out, the other runner is 50 meters out, or go forward, again, that difference becomes more significant the closer to the finish you get. And that's what happens with all this tradage. Now, there's a very serious problem here, which is that I can take that bishop. And if queen takes back, I can just trade off rooks to my heart's content, can't I? I don't have to. I actually didn't notice that the rook was also guarding, so. This knight is a very reasonable piece. I might actually come for it. Bishop here. Not worried about the knight's like immediate threat, but it's just well positioned and it's annoying. This. If he takes, I've got rook takes, rook king takes rook, that's fine. And my knight right now is worse. My knight right now can't go there and he can't go there, or there. So I might put him here. That also opens up this, which is cool. King goes there, bang. Yeah. Let's do it. Screw it, let's do it, as they say. So actually, even if he takes here, I could go, but he has also got queen blocks as well. But then we can trade queens off. Huh. Okay, should we just take all the rooks off the board? Yeah, there, check. He has to take with the rook, pretty much. I take with the rook. King takes. I trade the knights off. Pawn recaptures, I win this pawn. His queen can't come in anywhere. Horrible. Should we just do it, everybody dies scene? Yeah, I'm having that knight. And just look at the pawns now. If nothing else from this game, look at his pawns. Disconnected, isolated, divided, leaderless. Is it shattered? Leaderless. Queen f2 check. Makes some sense. I do also have an isolated pawn, by the way, on the e-file. I can just grab this pawn. I think I probably should, because his queen is no threat. So now it's just we go sweeping up. And again, I think this is kind of an instructive game, but you notice that as hard as my opponent played, and he did scrap really well. I'm actually threatening this as well, by the way, just to force the queens off the board and guarantee a win. But the point of chess is not necessarily that you win on move 6 with some horrible attack and make your opponent cry. The point of it is to do what it takes to get the win. And if it's going into an endgame, a piece and a pawn up, you can be pretty darn confident of getting that win. So bishop d3, just pair it up with the queen. Try and come in here. However, there is simply another hanging pawn, which comes with check. So I don't even have to worry about my own safety. I can just plow in, and I'm looking for any excuse. Like if the king comes to here, then a bit of a no-brainer. Queen f4 comes with check, hits the queen that's also undefended, because that's another major issue. So what else can he do? He can go there, right. And now I'm out of good checks because that square is covered. So I think that was a reasonable choice from opponent. That check is also not on. I might just stick my bishop here, something like this. That kind of makes sense. The queen defends this, no one defends this, no one defends this. Is there any kind of triangulation between these things? If I could put my queen there, that might be nice. But so I think bishop here, queen here. Maybe kind of trying to wriggle my king over to e2. And this is the attitude that you need. By the way, the queen's attacking this and the king's the only defender as well. Yeah, this is the way you need to be thinking about it. What does it take? What will it take to get the 1 and 0 the right way around on this? And blunder your queen. Simple as that. Right, the blunders will come. You fought hard, you fought bravely. Let us review. And let us, I should say good game, by the way, because he did. Very good game. Okay, 77-7 from me, and a blunder. Okay, what on earth was that? Okay. This is okay. Best move, right? Not because it's winning. He found the best move. DX is excellent. It's not saying if there is a best. That's a mistake. And that's a miss. It allowed my opponent to threaten checkmate. Oh yeah. And if queen takes, you've got knight takes, c7 with a fork. Yeah. Now, a Jobava London player would know that. Yeah. So the knight. So what happened with this move? The knight undefended that pawn. So that's the option to win that. So that's actually a miss. Okay. Next. Oh, whoa. No. Okay. That's okay, best move. So this is my blunder coming up, was it? Okay, what did we do wrong? Centralizing the knight. Yes, because I didn't notice this until after I'd made the move. Right, so we did spot it in the game. I'm glad about that. And my opponent buggered up here by thinking, oh, I better get my king safe, and actually missed a significant opportunity to get an advantage. Some advantage. And again, I missed that. And then this was his moment, right? He had to pull the trigger on the c3 pawn. Best move was knight takes c3, yes? Yeah. Hits the queen, right? If I take, bang, exactly as we said. Huh. But it's, you know, we're okay there. But yeah, he had to do that, and he didn't. And queen took was the best move, right? If there's one thing to take away from this, never auto-play the most natural move, which could be knight takes. So you see, oh, knight in the centre of the board, what's wrong with that? Well, I'll tell you what's wrong with that. It's just that this pawn needs two defenders. And at this point, it only had one, only had the b2 pawn. Okay? So here, like I say, my opponent's actually doing fine. He's got his king into the corner, he's doing a great job. That's not brilliant. Alright. And from this point, we just grind him down. Okay, we don't need to go over all of that again. But very, very well done to my opponent. And this is one of those things where knowing your opening and knowing the tricks and traps in the first 5 or 6, 7 moves is going to do no harm. I can see players actually playing the Jobava London at the sub 1000 level and just getting a bunch of quick wins from it, because it is really spicy. It is a lovely opening, and there's quite a lot of material out there, quite a lot of free material out there as well for it. So definitely recommended opening wise. It's also a relatively simple thing to learn as well. So yeah, it's all good. It's all good. So yeah, hope that was useful for everybody. Hope you picked up a few tips to help you on your own journey towards 1000. If you want more help, you can always get lessons as well, or join Chess Bootcamp Live. Come and study with us. Come and play some games live. It's a lot of fun. But other than that, thank you for watching. See you soon.